Hi everyone, Mike here with you guys once again, and for this video I am reviewing Gears of War 4 for the Xbox One. As you know, I got an Xbox One X for my birthday, and I wanted a game that would utilize some of the advantages of the Xbox One X, and since I don't have a 4K HDR television, I needed something that was going to give me a big difference with a 1080p TV, and so I decided to go with a game that had a higher frame rate option, and Gears 4 had that. And one of the things I really liked about this personally, and I don't know if this is a strength or a weakness for everyone, but for me, what I liked about the game was, I'm going to hold it up like this here. No, I got to put it back. What I liked about it is that it didn't have those, the set pieces in between combat sections weren't hard this time, and I was so thankful for that. So that was a major plus. I also liked how things that normally are in a cutscene that you just watch, you actually got to play. There's a couple moments here where they're super easy to do, but they're interactive when they could have been a cutscene, and I was so appreciative of that as a fan of video games. The story, I think, is really good, and I think the story is kind of underrated. I mean, everybody was praising Uncharted 4, but I really feel like this deserves an honorable mention when it came out, because the story here is just phenomenal for Gears fans, and it really, people compared it to The Force Awakens. I think that's a really good comparison, and I think the game is better for it. This is definitely a solid entry into the franchise, and a start of a very promising new series or trilogy, depending on how many games they want to make after this. And the ending to this really makes you want Gears 5 to come out as soon as possible to see what happens next. As for negatives for this game, I really can't think of any. I do think the final boss was slightly more frustrating than it needed to be, but that's a minor nitpick. Mainly because you have to, if you fail the quick time events, you have to start the whole pattern over. But otherwise, I don't have a lot to complain about this. This is a solid Gears game. And honestly, I know it's not quite Game of the Year material, but I really feel like it's a solid B plus, almost an A. A definite thumbs up for Gears fans. And I know people are tired of Gears right now; they're fatigued. But I think it's not even so much. I don't even think it's so much that they're tired of it. I think they're simply waiting for, they were hoping that Xbox One would have a killer new app, the way that the 360 had Gears of War and that the original Xbox had Halo Combat Evolved. I think that's what people are really thinking about, but or having the fatigue over. But honestly, if I would recommend you guys who used to play Gears to come back and play this if you haven't. This is a good start to a new series, to a new chapter in the lore, and the characters are likable. They bring back the old characters, and the camaraderie is awesome. And there's one thing I wanted to mention that I felt was a missed opportunity that Feminist Frequency actually brought up, and that was the focus on the cog rather than the new monsters, or the swarm, the swarm. I thought that would have been more interesting as a concept, but they did explore it, and I know that would have been more interesting to keep that going. I think that gives me to another weakness I'll mention. Once the swarm has weapons, it felt a little too familiar. There is a little bit more variation, but it still felt a little too familiar. I felt there was a uniqueness to the cog as enemies, having to fight the robots. That Feminist Frequency mentioned that maybe should have been the whole thing, which I think could have worked. Obviously, you wanted to have extreme violence, because as it's Gears, you want to use that Lancer. And all you really need to do is have real cog soldiers, and it would have provided the same gameplay mechanics that Gears has always had, and still kept it fresh and interesting. However, some of the swarm, particularly the zombie-like creatures that are fast and they surround you, they're quite intense, and it's more run and gun than stop and pop like the game normally is. And then there are other slight variations to the creatures as well that I think are well done as well. So yeah, overall, this is definitely a thumbs up. It's a strong B plus, almost an A, almost an A. Not a whole lot of negative I can say. This is a mostly positive review for me. So if you have an Xbox One X, but you don't have a 1080, you don't have a 4K television, even if you do have 4K television, I recommend this. But if you don't, this is a good option as well, because you have the high frame rate. One thing I will say is that the high frame rate is not for cutscenes. It's only for gameplay. So just there you go. But needless to say, I'm really thankful that we have a high frame rate option now, and pick this up if you have an Xbox One, and especially if you have an X. Definitely pick it up for the enhanced features that you'll get. This also comes with the old games as well for the 360 because it's backwards compatible. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. Pick it up, and that's all I can say. It's Gears, and it's one of those games where you know what you're getting into. But if you're a Gears fan, you have no reason not to. Anyways, that's all I got to say. I'll see you later. Bye.